usually makes headlines defending economic policy and charting out India's aviation sector, but he's been caught in the eye of a storm for all the wrong reasons. What convinced Jayant Sinha, the Minister of State for Civil Aviation and the MP from Hazaribagh, to garland those accused in lynching? Were these political compulsions? Because this has actually touched the hornet's nest. Political parties have taken sides on this. There are people out there, including Rahul Gandhi, who want his Harvard alumni status to be revoked. What were the reasons why he did so? What is his defense? And will the politics on this actually go all the way to the parliament session that's likely to convene very soon? Who better than Jayant Sinha himself to answer some of those questions? I'm not going to say I know anybody well, and I certainly will not say that about you, but whatever little interactions that I've had with you, I have known you as a moderate, well-meaning, well-educated, well-bred person. Forget about a human being and all of that, you come across as that. 6 days after you garlanded those 8 men accused of lynching and convicted by a fast-track court, do you regret your action? आप दुख है कि ये किया?
पहले तो सुप्रिया जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपने मेरे बारे में बहुत अच्छी बातें की. थैंक यू फॉर सेइंग दोज वेरी नाइस थिंग्स. द फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज दैट आई डू रिग्रेट व्हाट हैज हैपेंड, and I have said that in my tweet as well, and I have said that repeatedly, and I regret what has happened because people have used what has happened to imply or insinuate in a very narrow political way that I condone vigilantism. लोगों ने क्या किया है कि जो हुआ है उसका फायदा उठाया है राजनीतिक नजरिए से, और उन लोगों ने ये कहा है कि मैं विजिलेंटिज्म को समर्थन देता हूं. मुझे इससे बहुत खेद है क्योंकि वो मेरे इरादे थे ही नहीं. दैट वाज एब्सोल्युटली नॉट माय इंटेंट. व्हेन दीज पीपल केम टू माय होम एंड आई वेलकम देम, वी वर वेलकमिंग सिंपली द फैक्ट दैट दे हैड बीन रिलीज्ड ऑन बेल and they had got a fresh lease on life. That's it, and no more. And of course my party workers were there, the families of these people were there. They had just been released after spending 1 year in in jail, and they had just been released, and of course people were happy for the fact that they now had an opportunity to have a fresh trial.
But Mr. Sinha, these were not freedom fighters. ये कोई आजादी की लड़ाई लड़के नहीं आए थे जिनको आपको ये माला पहनानी थी. Which is why I wonder, why did you feel the need to garland them? I understand you are an elected representative and people from all corners of your constituency will come and meet you. I am not one of those journalists who sits in a high chamber and thinks, why are you doing this? This is electoral politics. You will have to meet people who come to your house. What was the need to garland them? Do you believe that is where the error of judgment was?
Supriya, you are exactly right. Hundreds of people come to see me all the time, right? So as an elected representative, we are dealing with people all the time, right? Now, when these people came to my house, I cannot get into the case itself. Remember, it's sub judice.
I understand.
And the case is on appeal right now. They have been convicted. They are guilty based on the fast track court's judgment, but they have been released on bail. Their sentences has been suspended and the matter is on appeal right now. For you or I to come to a conclusion on exactly how the trial will proceed is not correct and proper for us to do so. Who are we? Who are we to take a call on the matter? Let the courts come to that. And in fact, if we are taking a call on this matter and we are prejudging what is happening in the judicial process, I think those people are vigilantes who are taking a call on this matter. Let me read to you what the Honorable High Court has said about the people who came to my house. Okay, this is just prima facie. There has not been any order that has overturned the conviction. Hear me out.
Right.
That has overturned the conviction or not. But they came to my house on the 4th of July. All right. The High Court order had come out on the 29th of June. Of course, I had read the High Court order. Here's what the High Court order says. So hear me out.
Sure.
In view of the fact that from the evidence on record, it is only apparent that the appellates were the members of the mob, and in view of lack of evidence of specific assault against them, we are inclined to release the appellants on bail. So not only had they been released on bail,
right,
the High Court order itself, prima facie, said that there was no evidence that they had committed any assault. There was no evidence.
But the High Court order, and I will quote the same High Court order back to you, the lines that you quoted, it is only apparent that the appellants were the member of the mob. The mob killed a man. We cannot deny that. Alimuddin Ali ki जून 2017 में एक हत्या करी गई और कुछ लोगों ने अगर वहां पर खड़े होकर भी देखा, दैट इज व्हाट यू कॉल अ फेसलेस मॉब. एंड समवन लाइक यू, which is I haven't been able to make my peace with the fact that how are you justifying the fact that they came to your house, you garlanded them, and I'll begin quoting politicians and a lot of critiques of yours on this action. I can't make my peace with the fact that these were convicted by the fast track court. They have been granted bail by the High Court because the High Court says there is no evidence of assault, there is no specific assault evidence, but they were members of the mob. एक जिसको कहते हैं फेसलेस चेहरे ने किसी को मार दिया, हम उसको कैसे माला पहना सकते हैं?
सुप्रिया जी देखिए, आप फिर एक गलत काम कर रहे हैं. जो केस मामला सब जुडिस है, उस पे आप खुद कह रही हैं कि उन्होंने ये किया वो किया. क्या उन्होंने किया उस पे हमें चर्चा नहीं करनी चाहिए. ये सब जुडिस मामला है, ठीक है. दिस इज अ मैटर दैट इज सब जुडिस. यू आर प्री जजिंग व्हाट दे वर डूइंग इन द मॉब, व्हाट द मॉब वाज लाइक. I don't want to go into those matters because the matter is sub judice. All I will say to you is, please read all the records that are in the public domain. People have made fun of my education. But because of my education and because of my attention to detail, I have gone through the case records in detail. I have gone through the High Court judgment and the Fast Track Court judgment. I can quote that to you chapter and verse, but that is not appropriate and proper for me to do so. You are forming an opinion about these people, as is everyone else. All I can say is, and I repeat, due process of law, जो मैंने कहा कि I am honoring the due process of law, जो due process of law में हमारी किसी की ये अधिकार नहीं हो सकता है कि हम लोगों के बारे में ये कहें वो कहें. वो टेक्निकली करेक्ट है, वो कन्विक्टेड है, लेकिन आप जरा मामला तो देखिए, अपील तो देखिए. तो जो मैं बता रहा हूं, मैं आपको एक चीज अपने इतिहास के बारे में भी बताना चाहता हूं. आई वांट टू टेल यू समथिंग ऑफ माय पर्सनल हिस्ट्री. I was a student in IIT Delhi in 1984 when the riots in Delhi happened after Mrs. Gandhi's assassination. This is a matter of eyewitness account. You can ask anyone who was in IIT at that time. I, along with a few other people, saved a number of Sikhs from lynching mobs. Myself, I did it. All right? I know what lynch mobs are like. I have been in the middle of lynching mobs. I, as a member of parliament, have had to deal with many violent incidents, communal violence, polarized conflicts. So please, right. I understand the nature of evidence. I don't prejudge people. I have gone through the records myself, and I must tell you, please don't jump to conclusions. I am not going to jump to conclusions.
We are talking about people who have been convicted by a fast track court. Supriya, these people are not innocent people who were standing there and could do nothing. They have been convicted by a fast track court. Their matter is on appeal. I will ask you another question.
No, then you are asking me. I'm just saying to you the following. I'm just saying to you the following. By constantly accusing them the way you have, it's clear you've not read the court facts. These are in the public domain. Anybody can read them. Okay. You should, again, as I said, at least you should have a reasonable doubt based on what the High Court has said. I will just quote.
Let's not reserve our judgment.
Please hear one. I will just quote one fact from all the evidence that is there. Everybody knows that there were at least 250 people there when that happened. There may have been more. Even the evidence and the eyewitnesses are saying there were 250 people there. It was not 10 or 15 people. It was 250 people there. Okay? So I will leave the rest to your conclusions. Please go through the records. There were 250 people there. It was a very large group of people there. Anything, as you know, that happens in India, then there is an accident, when an altercation breaks out anywhere else, a large group of people congregate in our country. बहुत सारे लोग, कोई भी अगर घटना, मेरी बात सुन,
I will tell you what is the difference.
सुप्रिया जी, एक सेकंड, आप जरा मेरी बात तो सुन लीजिए. जब भी हमारे देश में कोई घटना होती है, बहुत सारे लोग एकत्रित हो जाते हैं. उसमें तय करना कि मर्डरस कौन थे, किसने क्या किया, किसने हत्या की, किस प्रकार से हत्या की, that is the kind of thing that the courts have to decide. You and I can't come to that conclusion.
I agree with you that none of us jump to the conclusion of them being, of their fate or whatever. Let the court decide that. The difference between a mob collecting when an accident happens or when anything else happens on the road is, here was a man who was lynched for the meat that he was importing or eating or whatever, and that is the difference. I will quote from where you've been accused on social media and where you've been attacked.
Before you do that, Supriya, again, please, there is significant evidence that would suggest that this happened very differently. Again,
fair point. Okay.
Again, you
Sorry.
know that,
and because we're not discussing the case, that's sub judice.
Sure. We can't discuss the case.
Krishnan.
All I'm saying is, people are free to criticize me. People are welcome to attack me in every which way. All I'm saying to them is, before you do that, and I've said that in my tweet.
Sure.
Before you do that, please study the evidence.
Absolutely.
Please study the evidence.
Let me quote some people who've criticized this, and most of the people who are actually now out against you are the ones who were your ardent supporters. They thought you were the, the more reasonable, the more logical, the more rational part of your party. But I'll come to that question a little later. Kavita Krishnan says, a minister felicitating convicted communal lynchers is a green flag for communal lynching. Let's leave out the part because you say this is, sub judice. Let's not discuss that. But do you believe the damage was done because a minister from the government of India should not be seen in the company of an accused? Forget about convicted or not convicted.
I think that's being very unrealistic, Supriya.
Why not?
No, hear me out. In my constituency, there are many people that are accused of many crimes.
Sure.
They constantly come to see me. Everybody comes to see me all the time. I cannot stop seeing people. Who is guilty and who is innocent of what is for the courts and the judicial system to decide. I cannot get into that. And as I said, hundreds of people, thousands of people come to see me all the time. My job as the people's representative is to be able to help people as much as I can, taking into account all the facts and circumstances. And I've given you the facts and circumstances here. That as I said, the High Court order had come out. The High Court order said that there is a lack of evidence of specific assault against them. So you have to take all of that into account, and you have to recognize the role of a public representative.
Many on social media have asked a very specific question. With your permission, I want to ask you that. बहुत लोगों ने बोला है कि आपका शायद ये कहना सही है कि ये आपके constituent थे और आपको शायद इनसे मिलना पड़ा क्योंकि ये आपके घर आए थे. Have you met the family of the victim? His wife, in an interview that was being quoted on social media, says, the widow says that you did a despicable thing. If the accused or the convicted, quote unquote, were your constituents, then so was Alimuddin Ali. Why did you not take the time out to meet his widow?
So I have heard about it. People have used very strong and harsh words about it, and they're welcome to do so.
Sure.
Again, in our democracy, freedom of expression, please express all your opinions, and it's my role also to be able to be transparent and accountable for what I've done, and that's what I'm trying to do right here. The fact of the matter is, this was a very controversial case. That is exactly why I have studied the matter so carefully. Let me also add, people have been attacking my education. It is because of my education that I understand what is controversial, what is not controversial, what are the substantive issues at play here, what are the shades of grey. I don't live in a world of black and white. I live in a world of shades of grey. How does the law play out? How does politics play out?
Was meeting Alimuddin Ali black, white or grey?
No, hear me out. Hear me out. Which is why, understanding the complexities and the nuances of this particular situation, I neither went to see the victim nor any of the accused. Throughout the case, I did not go to see either of them, understanding that this was a very controversial, difficult matter. And in fact, after the fast track court judgment came out, even then I didn't say anything or go and meet anyone. I just said that total justice had not been provided, and I said that, and I asked for a CBI investigation because I recognized and I had misgivings about it. Now, that is what happened while this whole case was going on. Now, let's look at the specific event. These people came to my home. I could not welcome them. People come to my home all the time. As I said, accused people come to my home. People who could be criminals come to my home and so on. So these people came to my home. Anybody who comes to my home is welcome.
मेरे ख्याल से सोशल मीडिया में ये सवाल उठाया जा रहा है कि जो अक्यूज थे या जो छूटे बेल पर, उनके लिए आपके पास टाइम था ना सिर्फ मिलने के लिए, माला पहनाने के लिए, पर जिसकी मौत हुई उसके घर जाने के लिए, उसकी बेवा से मिलने के लिए आपके पास टाइम नहीं था. आई गेट योर पॉइंट दैट देयर वर शेड्स ऑफ ग्रे इन दिस केस.
नहीं, बट सुप्रिया जी, देखिए, मैं आपको बता दूं, मैं आपको स्पष्ट बता दूं कि जो मेरे घर में जो भी कोई आता है, मैं सबका अभिनंदन करता हूं.
Have you done this to pander to the fringe? There's another criticism on social media, and I'm going to quote some people later, but one of the things is that you have tried to polarize your constituency out of 2019, and vote bank politics at the expense of values is unjustifiable. बहुत लोगों को लग रहा है कि 2019 के पहले आपने जो एक फ्रिंज कहा जाता है, जो कहा जाता है कि आपको एक हार्डकोर हिंदुत्व लॉबी को शायद पैंडर करना है, वो आपने काम किया. कैसे?
ये जो लोग, जिन लोगों की ये टिप्पणी है ना, वो अपनी वोट बैंक की राजनीति कर रहे हैं। मुझे वोट बैंक की राजनीति करने की जरूरत नहीं है, मुझे विनाश की राजनीति करने की जरूरत नहीं है। मैंने विकास की राजनीति की है सुप्रिया जी, मैंने विकास की राजनीति किया है। और जो भी कोई हजारीबाग जाएगा उसमें स्पष्ट नजर आएगा हजारीबाग या रामगढ़ की विकास के कितने काम हुए। 30,000 करोड़ का निवेश हुआ है पूरे हजारीबाग रामगढ़ में कुल मिलाकर। सड़कों का जाल बिछा है, लोगों को गैस सिलेंडर मिले हैं, लोगों को बैंक अकाउंट मिले हैं। हजारीबाग और रामगढ़ की तस्वीर बिल्कुल उसका कायाकल्प हुआ है, तस्वीर बदल गई है। तो मैं तो विकास की राजनीति करता हूं। और अगर ये जो भी कुछ हुआ, और ये मेरी हरदम मेरे प्रयास यही रहते हैं कि सबको न्याय मिले। My goal in all of these situations.
You don't believe this was a political antic ahead of 2019?
Absolutely not. There is no reason for me to do any antics or somersaults, Supriya. I am going to win with a resounding majority on the basis of the good work that I have done and the fact that I have conducted myself in a dignified and honorable way and tried to provide justice for all. That's all I need to do to win the election. And then of course the Honorable Prime Minister, everything that our government has done, all of that is a tidal wave in our favor.
Mr. Sinha, you know why the disappointment with you is, and sections of social media have voiced it, people have written columns on this in newspapers. I think the disappointment with you more is because people always looked at you, and I began by saying people always looked at you as the moderate, more rational face of the BJP. You know, I mean, there are others who made these loose comments and gotten away. Giriraj Singh never gets quoted. Yogi Adityanath says things, it makes a headline for one day and then gets on. Why is it that you're being made this, why is it that this issue is blowing up? Because people thought that you were the more moderate face of the BJP, and now the same people are wondering, does BJP have a moderate face at all? एक moderate face थे, एक आप पढ़े लिखे moderate, और मैं education, I'm going to talk about your education right next. कई लोगों को लगता है कि क्या moderate face है भी बीजेपी में? अगर जयंत सिन्हा जैसे कोई कर सकते हैं, तो हार्डकोर हिंदुत्व जो फॉलो करते हैं उनके बारे में क्या कहते हैं?
देखिए, मैं उस राजनीति और उन विषयों में नहीं जाना चाहता। मैं उन विषयों में जाना ही नहीं चाहता हूँ। आपने पहले प्रश्न ये पूछा कि ये आपने क्यों किया, है ना? और मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ मेरा इसमें यही लक्ष्य था कि सबको न्याय मिले, बस। And anybody who is insinuating that I am doing it for any particular brand of politics does not know me, does not understand my principles, does not understand what I stand for. My only intention in this was to ensure that people get justice. I of course believe that the guilty should be punished, but the innocent should get justice. Of course the people who did these terrible things to Alimuddin Ansari should be fully punished. Of course, his widow should get all the support that she should get. Of course she should. There's no question about it. But everybody's rights should be protected. Everybody should get justice.
Have you ever represented?
Supriya, and that is what I was striving to do. The people who are now taking my actions, where all I was doing was fighting for justice for all, that was my intent. And I think the people who are criticizing me have completely misunderstood the story. They have misunderstood and misinterpreted the story. The real part, actually what I was trying to do was understanding the shades of grey, understanding the nuances, and ensuring that justice was delivered, both for the guilty who should be punished and for the innocent.
What was the sort of justice measures that you took for Alimuddin Ali's widow?
The police and the investigating officers, the government, everybody was prosecuting the case fully. Absolutely, they were doing that. A fast-track court was instituted very quickly. A judgment was delivered very, very quickly. And at the same time, there was tremendous focus on ensuring that justice was delivered in that case. So all of that was happening. I in fact also added to that by saying, because this is such a controversial and important case, we should have a CBI investigation. The CBI should look into the matter, make sure that the investigation is properly done. So that is as far as making sure the guilty are punished. Okay, that's on that side of the equation. Now the other side of the equation is that everybody involved, and there were at the end of the day 12 accused, of which one was juvenile. For all of these 12, they should be appropriately tried, they should get appropriate punishments. Don't forget that 11 people have got life imprisonment, Supriya. Life imprisonment, okay?
But a life was also lost. There is no big deal about life imprisonment. I mean, somebody was killed because of the meat that he was eating. This is the country that we're living in.
Okay,
again, you're getting... No,
Supriya, we're getting into the case.
Sure.
There was a FIR. There was an FIR filed against Alimuddin Ansari. He was not eating beef. He was actually transporting beef. So let's not go into all of that, right? I'm just saying, if you go
Sure.
back again,
Okay.
if you go back again to the
We
legal,
don't want to discuss the
we
case.
want no, but just let's talk about the legal matters here, Supriya. The legal matters are, even in a situation like this, for all 11 accused to get life imprisonment under Section 304 is something that can be considered. Again, let's not get into the legal matters. It's sub judice.
Let's talk about your education, because I think that is what is perhaps your best weapon, and also at this point in time your seeming weakness. Everybody who is lashing out at you, whether on social media or in opinion columns all across, is quoting, how can a Harvard graduate do this? I'm going to quote Salil Tripathi, and he says, education doesn't guarantee good values. A politician's calculator tells him where the votes are. Education plays some role in shaping him, but in the end he selects what serves his interest. And then, of course, people have gone on to say that how can someone who went to IIT Delhi, UPenn, Harvard, 12 years in McKinsey do this? And people are obviously questioning your education and your institutions. There is also an online petition that's now being supported by Congress President Rahul Gandhi. And he says, if the sight of a highly educated MP and Central Minister, Jayant Sinha, garlanding and honoring innocence, goes on to say, disgusts you, click this link, which talks about revoking of your Harvard alumni status. Do you fear that could be a possibility?
I am not worried at all. And let me also say the following. A lot of people about my own career and what has happened in my life like to put out the following headline. Harvard to Hazaribagh. Harvard to Hazaribagh, they always say. They have to remember that that is the wrong way around. I went from Hazaribagh to Harvard. I was born in Giridih, which is at that time, back in 1963 was a part of Hazaribagh district. I was born in Hazaribagh district. I have grown up there. So I understand that milieu, okay? Of course I have gone to IIT and the University of Pennsylvania and Harvard as well. And Supriya, all the people who are criticizing me need to take a deep breath and understand what it is that I was trying to do. It is in fact because of my education. It is because I understand nuances. I understand the shades of grey that I have taken the time to study this matter so closely. I have spent, hear me out, I have spent hours and hours and hours and hours studying these things. Because of my education, because of my attention to detail, because of my desire that everybody should get justice. That's what I've done. And if a good education teaches you anything, it teaches you that a democracy is based on inalienable human rights, that everybody, hear me out, everybody has human rights. Those human rights extend to the victim and to the accused, and it is our job as elected representatives, those of us who have sworn an oath to the Constitution, to ensure that the Constitution and the rule of law and due process are fully protected. Otherwise we cannot have a good constitutional democracy.
I want to go next on your dare to Rahul Gandhi, but before that I'll point out one more thing. It's not just the political parties that are taking a position on this. It's not just Rahul Gandhi who's saying revoke the alumni status. We've got a bunch of top bureaucrats that includes voices like Julio Ribeiro. We've got retired army officials pushing for this revocation. In some sense, you have outraged a section of the society that was your big backer. Do you आप ये तो मानते हैं ना कि ये सारे लोग आपको एक बहुत काबिल, एक बहुत अच्छा मंत्री समझते थे, और आज ये लोग कह रहे हैं कि आपका एक हार्वर्ड alumni status रिवोक होना चाहिए. ये सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी आपका सपोर्टर क्लास था, आज ही आपको अपोज कर रहा है, और ये सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस नहीं है. ये आपके लिए ये एक सोच का विषय है कि नहीं है?
देखिए, पहले तो मैं ये कहूंगा कि ये हमारे लोकतंत्र की एक खूबी है कि लोग इस प्रकार से आलोचना कर रहे हैं और मेरी जवाबदेही मांग रहे हैं. बिल्कुल अच्छी बात है, बहुत सुंदर, बहुत अच्छा. और मैं एक और बात कहूंगा आपको कि इस विषय के द्वारा जो रामगढ़ में हुआ है, उसके द्वारा में हम लोगों के देश में एक बहस हो रही है, एक चर्चा हो रही है कि लोकतंत्र का क्या मतलब है, लोकतंत्र में किसके क्या अधिकार. ये जो चर्चा हो रही है और हमारे लोकतंत्र के लिए बहुत अच्छी चर्चा है. इसलिए तो मैं आपसे भी बात कर रहा हूं, इसलिए तो मैं जवाबदेही अपनी दे रहा हूं इस विषय पे. हमें समझना चाहिए कि लोकतंत्र में क्या करना चाहिए. और जो मैं इन सबको कह रहा हूं, मैं उन सबको कह रहा हूं सुप्रिया, मैं उन्हें चुनौती दे रहा हूं. मैं विशेष रूप से मैं श्री राहुल गांधी जी को चुनौती दे रहा हूं कि आप आइए, आप लाइव मेरे साथ कहीं भी इस विषय पे बहस करिए और हम जनता के सामने दिखाते हैं कि इस विषय पे कौन सही है और कौन गलत है. आप अपने वोट बैंक राजनीति के लिए मुझे बलि बना रहे हैं, और जो लोग जिनको न्याय चाहिए था उनको बलि बना रहे हैं. आइए मेरे साथ आप चर्चा करिए, मैं आपको बताता हूं.
जयंत जी, जिनको न्याय चाहिए था की बात हम करेंगे नहीं, बिकॉज एक सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी जो शायद मैं भी इंक्लूडेड हूं मानती हूं कि न्याय के अंत तक जाने पर ही इस बारे में बात करनी चाहिए। आपको कहीं लेकिन ये लगता है, और बहुत लोगों का ये भी मानना है कि ये सारा इंसिडेंट होने से, और राहुल गांधी ने जो इस पर ट्वीट किया है और उस पर हार्वर्ड एलुमनाई स्टेटस को रिवोक करने की बात करी है, कहीं ये politically speaking this has been a boon for you. It has shot you back into the limelight for political reasons, not just your economic policy or policy making. It is now putting you in a direct contest with Rahul Gandhi himself.
That's for Mr. Rahul Gandhi to figure out. I am not.
You are also a politician who goes down to the grassroots level to contest an election. Are you going to deny that?
What I am going to say is that I am challenging Mr. Rahul Gandhi. I am challenging Mr. Rahul Gandhi to a live debate on these issues. This is a great moment for our democracy. Let us discuss these issues in a civilized manner anywhere that he wants to. Because we need to discuss these issues. We need to understand who is doing vote bank ki rajniti, who is doing vote bank politics, and who is trying to provide justice for all. Let us make that distinction.
Every time I see that visual, Mr. Sinha, and every time I see that visual, it resounds the vote bank politics, and which is why I'm asking you this question. Do you believe, politically speaking, this has been a great move? I know you won't answer that question. Let me ask you a factual question, because I think a lot of people want to know. Have Harvard authorities got in touch with you? Have they written
No,
back
absolutely
to you?
not. Absolutely not.
Okay. You also met the party president, sometime back when he was visiting. Have you spoken to the Prime Minister, the party president on this matter? Have you had a conversation?
I have not discussed it. I have not discussed it with the Prime Minister and the party president. I have discussed it with many other people in the party as well.
Mr. Sinha, you were giving me an account of how लोकतंत्र की हम बात कर रहे थे, और आपने कहा कि लोकतंत्र की एक खूबी है कि कोई भी किसी भी तरह का सवाल कर सकता है और आप एज अ इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ये वेलकम करते हैं। प्रशांत भूषण ने कहा है कि Jayant Sinha's Garlanding Lynching Convicts should not surprise us. It represents the Modi-Shah core culture of abuse, hate, demonization, violence and gudaism. But what is alarming is how deep this has gone in 4 years. Look around you. क्या मेरा देश बदल गया है? I might disagree with a lot of what he said. I don't like his choice of words and all of that. But I had not heard of cow vigilantism and lynching before 2014. Will you agree with me that issues like these have come back as a part of our social narrative, and the elected government of the day can't shy away from that responsibility? I'm asking you a more big picture question. एक बड़े सिर्फ एक इंसिडेंट से बाहर निकल के, मैं 2014 के पहले बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जिन्होंने लिंचिंग, काउ विजिलेंटिज्म, इस तरह की बातें नहीं सुनी थी, और आज ये आए दिन हो रहा है। फेक न्यूज पे लोगों को मार डाला जा रहा है। ये आए दिन पता चलता है कि किसी को किसी तरह के मीट के साथ पकड़ लिया गया, उसकी मौत हो गई क्योंकि लिंच मॉब ने मौत कर दी। मैं सिर्फ जानना चाहती हूँ कि ये किसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है? Where does the buck stop on this?
See, there is a narrative that is out there right now. The narrative that is out there is all of this vigilantism is happening. I have made my personal position, my individual position on this very clear over and over again, which is that I reject all forms of violence, all forms of vigilantism. The rule of law is supreme in our constitutional democracy. And I have tried in my own language and in my own conduct to do it in a civilized, dignified manner so that people can see and my education, my values, what I believe in shine through, and that's what I'm trying to do in this discussion as well. People are welcome to use whatever vile words they want. People are welcome to demonize whomever they want. They have the right to freedom of expression, and those are their choices. They're welcome to those choices, and I will protect their right to do what they want to do to the best of my ability. They are very welcome to do that. However, because I am a scientific person, in all of these matters, even though this narrative has been created, what I would want to understand are the actual facts. And the actual facts would be to say, certain violent incidents, have they gone up or have they gone down? We are a very violent country in many ways. Supriya, as I told you, I have lived through the 1984 riots. I saw Delhi burning. I saw people being butchered in front of my own eyes. So I know how difficult and how complicated these matters are. I understand how much violence and resentment and anger there is in our society. As elected representatives, as a Lok Sabha member, you deal with it every day. Just a few days earlier, I was with some of my party workers, one of whom had been shot in the face by somebody who had taken a supari on him. His mother fell on my feet and she would not let me go for 15 minutes.
Sinha,
so we deal, Supriya, we deal with this kind of violence. Now, it is happening. It has happened in our society on many, many occasions.
Where does
over many times.
For a crackdown on it lie? That's what I'm asking you.
We are cracking down.
It can't just be the opposition's job. I'm sure the elected representative government.
Obviously the fast track code, the fact that, the police investigation was done so promptly in the Ramgarh case should give you comfort that as far as law and order is concerned, our government is doing everything possible. But even in that process, we need to ensure that justice is provided for all. I would like to understand this on a scientific basis. Those that are constructing a narrative in the media need to be in a responsible way. If we are responsible and accountable, the media is responsible and accountable. Those bureaucrats who are condemning me are responsible and accountable as well. So I would suggest to them, please read the facts of the case, understand the situation before you come to your opinions, and those that are saying that all of this is happening right now should show the facts. How many such incidents are happening? How many incidents were happening previously? Have there been widespread outbreaks of violence? Let's do it in a scientific way.
You know, nobody knows us as well as our parents do, and that's what I've been brought up to believe. Your father is not impressed with your action either. What would you say to him?
I think that he said, if I remember correctly, that I don't approve of his actions. And as I said, that because this has been used to be able to insinuate that I condone vigilantism, it is correct. I regret the fact that it is being used for these purposes. That was absolutely not my intention. My intention, Supriya, was honorable and noble. I just wanted everybody to get justice, people to get a fair trial, that they would be out on bail and they could have a fair trial. That was all my intent was. The fact that it was taken all the way here is something I regret, and I think my father regrets it as well.
I'll ask you one last question, and I've known of you as a very candid man, and I'm glad you've taken my questions very candidly as well. Keep your hand on your heart and tell me, will you do this again?
No, I would not do it again. And let me tell you why. Because it has given an opportunity for people to attack me at a personal level, to attack my party and the leadership of my party in a very, I think, unfortunate way. And because of those consequences, even though I was only fighting for justice, my intention, Supriya, my intention was entirely honorable and noble. But it has given people an opportunity to insinuate that we are condoning hate crimes, we are condoning vigilantism, and that is why I would not do it again.
क्या आप ये कह रहे हैं कि आप ये इसलिए नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि इसके repercussions क्या हुए, या इसलिए नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि कहीं शायद आपसे माला पहनाना एक गलती थी?
मैंने जो मुझे इस विषय पे कहना था, मैंने अंग्रेजी में भी कहा है, हिंदी में भी कहा है, जैसे मैंने कहा आपको भी।
आप ये करेंगे दोबारा?
मैंने जैसे मैंने कहा, बिल्कुल स्पष्ट कहा कि मैं इसको फिर नहीं करूंगा। मैं इसलिए नहीं करूंगा, मैं उसको अंग्रेजी में तो समझा ही दिया हूं, अब हिंदी में समझाता हूं, जो मैंने कल भी समझाया था, कि इससे एक दुर्भाग्य है कि लोगों ने जो हुआ उसका फायदा उठाया और अपने जो वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स है उसको चलाने के लिए उन्होंने एक इंप्रेशन बनाया है कि मैं विजिलेंटिज्म के समर्थन में हूं। ये बिल्कुल गलत है और मुझे इसलिए इससे खेद है और इसलिए मैं इसको फिर नहीं करूंगा, क्योंकि ये इसका अपना वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स जो इनका है, जो इनकी वोट बैंक की राजनीति है, उनको एक मौका मिला अपनी वोट बैंक राजनीति को इसके द्वारा चलाने के लिए। मेरे इरादे जो थे बिल्कुल अच्छे थे। मैं बड़े नेक इरादों के साथ इन लोगों को सिर्फ न्याय देने की कोशिश में था और कुछ नहीं था। लेकिन जो वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स करते हैं, जिनके पास और कोई विषय नहीं है और कोई मुद्दा नहीं है, सिर्फ उनकी विनाश की राजनीति है, उनकी वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स है, उन्होंने इसका उपयोग किया है और इसके लिए मुझे बहुत खेद है।
शायद बहुत लोग ये कहेंगे कि जिनको आप न्याय दिलाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे वो न्याय डिजर्व नहीं करते, बट
आप विजिलेंटी हैं।
No,
आप विजिलेंटी हैं।
I think let the courts of the country decide this, and you're right. I don't think we should get into a matter because it's sub judice. But I can't thank you enough for taking my questions candidly as always and answering all of them. Thanks very much, Mr. Sinha, for speaking to us. That's Mr. Jayant Sinha, the newsmaker of the day, and if I may say of the week. His actions perhaps will sound clear in Parliament as well, but he's clarified. His intention was never to pander to the fringe. His intention was never to do vote bank politics. He perhaps regrets it on that count, but he also believes that it's the Indian democracy that should reign supreme and let the courts take the final call.